Neil from Essex here to talk to you today about Clarkson's Farm Season 3. Isn't it funny that we're a dealership equipment channel? We talk about farm machinery, attachments, compact tractors, and today we're going to cover a TV show. I did this initially when Clarkson's Farm Season 1 came out because this show had a lot of interesting European farm references and some machinery stuff in it. But as time has gone by and this series has picked up more viewership, it's become a more watched thing among the ag community and really has an important place today kind of in our industry. You probably are very aware that a lot of people today are so far removed from farming and agriculture, where their food comes from, but there's very little understanding of what the lives and struggles of the farm community are like. And Clarkson's Farm has probably done more to bring that to the general public than many other things that have happened in the last number of years. So it's been very cool for that reason, and it's for that reason I'm going to bring to you today a little bit about Season 3.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
Now, before we dive into the show, one thing on Jeremy Clarkson himself. Jeremy is somebody whose entertainment that I personally enjoy quite a lot. I've watched him for years through a car show on the BBC called Top Gear and through Amazon's Grand Tour series. His entertainment to me is really humorous. I think he's a funny guy. He can be a little controversial off the camera sometimes, and the language on this show from a number of people in it is really coarse. So while what we're going to talk about today is hugely educational and entertaining and would be great for kids, I wouldn't encourage it until they're well used to listening to pretty coarse language day to day. So I'm going to try to explain to you some of the themes that were in Season 3, give you enough of the nuggets there that might get you interested in watching this show, but hopefully not spoil all of the plot lines if you haven't watched it yet. Now, if we go back to Season 2, kind of where this show ended, Season 2 spent a lot of time on some of the difficulties, the economic difficulties that Jeremy was having on his farm, and then realizing the need to diversify into some new things, ultimately trying to open a restaurant, a farm-to-table restaurant on the farm. Now, that was a real challenge. There was a lot of regulatory hurdles, some red tape, a lot of planning issues from the local town, but ultimately at the end of that season they kind of rushed a farm-to-table restaurant into opening, but under some loopholes that they thought they would be able to get away with. Season 3 kind of returns to some of this regulatory stuff again, and initially I was concerned because I thought too much time was spent on that topic. Yes, this is a big issue that we all deal with, but I didn't feel like it made great TV for that many episodes. Season 3 started out with a little bit of that, but kind of explained very quickly that that restaurant had to close, but some other planning authorities came into this and overruled some of those decisions that ultimately allowed the farm to be able to have a parking lot with some food trucks. So that kind of got set up in the first episode, but where this show really started to get interesting is in episode 2. So the remainder of Season 3 is set up with this competition happening between Jeremy and his farm hand, or now farm manager, Caleb. Caleb goes about doing what is kind of traditional row crop, right? A lot of input costs that go into the farm and fertilizer and seed with the hope of good crops coming out. And so we follow Caleb go through that very traditional process that you see on a lot of farms of doing row crop. And he mostly does that with rape, wheat, and tries to do some hay products. Now, I won't spoil the outcome of all of that, but you actually follow through the show a number of different fields, how they're planted, what the processes look like of getting those crops on and off the field, and then the amount of money that they make ultimately at the end of the show. On Jeremy's side of the equation, though, he goes about a different approach, and he calls this farming the unfarmed. In his farm, 1,000-acre farm, only about 60% of the acreage can go into row crop. And so Jeremy goes about taking that remaining 40% of the acreage and finds a number of different ways in order to try to make revenue off the farm. So it's Jeremy's side of farming the unfarmed here that I thought was the most interesting, and this takes up several of the storylines across several episodes, and I need my paper list here to be able to tell you what they all are. Now, the goal of all of these things is to produce products to sell in a shop that they have out along the road at the end of the farm. And the products that he tried to do was honey, jam off of blackberries, mushrooms, a mustard crop, potatoes, nettles that they were making into like a cream-based soup, eggs, pigs that they were butchering in order to sell off the meat, cows, again, that they were butchering for meat, goats that they were trying to use for some land clearing and a little bit of entertainment, and ultimately venison too from some deer. So all of those different items, you kind of see some bits and pieces of them trying to get that established, right? Kind of getting each one of these things ready to go if they can produce something, and then ultimately having the product finished or butchered in some fashion for it to go into their farm shop. So it's that competition that's really the crux of what this season is about, and I found that all very interesting. You really got to pay attention to all of these moving parts, but at the end of every one of these things, they've got a whiteboard going on it. They show you every one of these endeavors and the dollars and cents that went into that endeavor, and also the dollars and cents that came out of that endeavor. And it was really interesting to see kind of how the farm's books, how the balance sheet looked here at the end of the year. You're going to have to watch the show to see all of that. On the show as a whole, just a few comments about this. If you follow this from season 1 to season 2 to season 3, at this point here in season 3, you're starting to notice that Jeremy himself is a lot more competent. This is a guy that ultimately chose to retire to a farm, probably kind of as a hobby or thinking that it might be an interesting, beautiful place to live. But over the course of these 3 seasons has really come to become a farmer himself, right? The beginning of this was like Jeremy's normal TV personality of him goofing around, looking like a bit of an idiot. But by the time we're getting to season 3 here, he clearly has learned a lot and knows what he's doing now, and really has come to have an appreciation for the lifestyle that farming is, to the point now that I would say he's celebrating it, right? If there's been anything out there that has celebrated the lifestyle that farmers live, the value that they bring to our society, the products that they deliver, this show does that in a fantastic way. And I think watching Jeremy and seeing his personality change, what would have been kind of a TV show type personality, now by season 3 feels a lot more that you're watching a guy that you come to understand now, and really seeing how he's matured as a farmer over the course of these last 3 seasons, I think is really cool. There's a magic to this show. If you've watched things like Top Gear or The Grand Tour, the other shows that these guys have done in the past have been compelling television. I really like them. There is a certain magic to those shows that you don't want to end, right? They suck you in, you want to see the next episode, there's never enough episodes to consume, and Clarkson's Farm is feeling that way to me as well. I went through all 8 episodes in fairly rapid succession. We watched them all over about 2 days, and you'll want to binge it, right? You want to know what's next, you want to know what's coming, and that formula has some magic to it. It works really well for this show. For all of these things, I'd say you wonder how it survives. How does this keep going? What are they going to come up with next? How do they continue to make this compelling? I think they're aware now of the place that they've taken in the industry and the important role that they're playing. And I'm excited to see that they're confirming that season 4 is going to come. But I can't imagine what they've got left, right? They pulled so much stuff out here and done so much in season 3 that I think was so cool. I can't imagine where season 4 is going to go, but I'm going to want to see it. The show is hugely important. It's great entertainment, and it's absolutely worth watching. So check it out. If you're into the videos that I make normally when we're talking about tractors, equipment, for parts, all that kind of stuff, you're going to like watching this show. It streams on Amazon. If you're paying for Prime, it's already kind of free. You can watch it even though you paid for it once a year. You kind of forget that after a while. But there's sliding commercials in there now too, so you got to put up with that. But hey, check it out. If you're shopping for a piece of equipment, if we can help with anything, if you need parts or service for machinery you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at Messicks.com. As if the forklift isn't enough noise, there's the jackhammering in the background too. Right?